Welcome to Hate Week.
Yeah, welcome to Hate Week.
It's Thursday, so it's about over.
Yep, it's been a fast one. I feel like with it being on Labor Day, I feel like it's shortened it a little bit, and I
Yeah.
feel like people were coming off of the high of the long weekend, and everyone's happy because you're not at work or at home chilling.
Yeah.
Some most of America, hope at least. But I think at least for the last game, we beat up SEMO pretty bad. I think that's exactly what we wanted to see last year,
Right.
but it was just this year. It felt like a weird feel in the stadium. It was just like new faces. Like we just didn't know what to expect. It was kind of like a new TV series. Honestly, kind of lost it
Right.
like a lot of new characters, but the same show we loved, which is Iowa State athletics. But Deckers came out and he is for real. He came,
Yeah.
at
Well,
least
and let's talk before we get in the game. Let's talk. The atmosphere was pretty darn cool. I mean,
Yeah.
there was so many people in the parking lot. They moved all the RVs to the new, you know, high dollar or whatever you want to call it, RV parking lot. So there was a lot more just regular cars in the parking lot. And we were tailgating by Hilton Coliseum with all of the people that barely can afford a parking pass, and had to give a shout out to Tractor Lift Brewery in Humboldt. They were the owner is Larry Balke. Brews great beer. Came over at 9 o'clock. Just to touch base with us, and we've known Larry for a long time, and came over and talked to him for a while. So and yeah, it was amazing. I mean, it was so much fun. It was a beautiful day. And 1 o'clock kicks. I'm not sure you can get better than that. I mean, we
Yeah.
left here at 7:30,
It's perfect.
picked you up, pulled in the parking lot.
Perfect
Yeah,
weather.
yeah.
Weather was perfect.
Yeah.
We came out. We can't came out slow like we usually do, Iowa State fashion. But we usually when we came on, Deckers threw just like barely even set his feet, slinged it to
Right.
Xavier, and after his second touchdown, Xavier's first one, he ran for 50 yards or whatever. But that Xavier Hutchinson is going to be a factor this year because
He looks different.
he looks different, and
he's
he's
big.
gonna get the ball a lot faster and sooner. I've noticed that with Sean Shaw. Obviously, no spite to Purdy because like he's playing in the NFL. He's on the 49ers
Right.
for crying out loud. But just seeing it's just a different zip. Obviously, it's a versus not the competition we're gonna play against all year, but it was impressive from not seeing him at all really to seeing him playing starter. It was his first time. It was that first time an Iowa State quarterback who was starting for the first time for like without starting before, like with the injury and all. Like our quarterback getting injured, like that was the norm for the
Taking
longest
over,
time.
taking over a new.
Since Steel Jance,
Right.
So it's been that long since
Yeah.
a player like Deckers just came in and he showed exactly what we've been hearing all summer and basically the entire time he's been in the dugout behind Purdy. So
He's not 18. I mean, he's a junior in college. I mean, and last time he was a starter, he won a state championship. So I mean, he is a great athlete. Obviously, got a huge arm. He's left-handed. Not afraid to take a shot downfield or get a shot from a lineman. But I keep thinking every time somebody would say SEMO, I keep thinking of Sesame Street for some reason. I don't like that whole nickname of SEMO.
yeah, it was pretty weird.
yeah.
I never really even heard of the college before even this game.
But they're pretty good. I mean, they were.
They
had some athletes.
They got some
I
good
mean,
receivers.
Yeah, I mean they had some athletes. Their quarterback wasn't bad. I mean, and it was. I think, we finally got a team that didn't have a lot of strong Iowa ties, because when you put UNI in the mix, all bets are off because you got a bunch of kids that feel like they've been slighted by Iowa State or Iowa or whoever. So, that we've talked about it a million times, but yeah, it was just kind of fun to see us kind of, it was obviously the plan was we came out and just let Hunter sling it. I mean, we threw the ball all the time. And then the second half, we came out and said, we need to, test our run game. And we came out and ran it the whole time. So I thought it was a perfect way to start the season. Nobody was nervous. Everybody, got to see our new punter, got to see our new kicker, got to see new offensive lineman, got to see Jirel, got to see Silas. You got to see all of the running backs. Cortavius, dinged up his hamstring at the end. When I saw it happen, I said he's done for a while, just because
Deshaun Akinta, or the tight end.
Hanukkah, I think.
Hanukkah.
Yeah,
He's got
tight end.
got his first touchdown.
He looks really good.
Yeah,
I think Easton Dean looked good.
Yeah, our offensive line played pretty darn good. I mean, we have no idea when Jake Remsburg is going to come back, because obviously Campbell's injury history of telling the media is obviously very, very shady. Not a shady history, but just like
Not
just
shady.
just the game he plays.
Right.
Shady's obviously a bad term, but I'm saying like just the way he runs it was different than Paul Rhodes and what we're used to.
Yeah, it's close to his vest. I mean, that's the way everybody talks about it. It's not shady, but Remsburg looked like RoboCop on the sideline.
If there's no rule for it, why be generous?
It's not the NFL.
Until you make it the rule, obviously.
Fairness does the same thing.
Yeah,
everybody does it.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say.
No, but Remsburg had a massive brace on the sideline. You know, he was trying to stay away from people. So, you know, I didn't realize that. You know, when we suit everybody, we have like 120 kids on the sidelines.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so it's
look at Simo's had like even what people were with just pointed out like, oh, there's like 16 kids on one side, and it looked like a 1A school versus like 4A school. It honestly looked like that.
Well, I had a guy sitting right in front of me. Shout out to this dude from Sioux Center. I don't know who you are. I can't remember your name, but he had a 100 Acres jersey on.
This could be a lot of people. And
he had a 100 Acres jersey on. I thought for sure it was his dad. Looked similar. I've never met Hunter's dad before. And so then finally, you know, right towards halftime, I said, "Are you Hunter's dad?" And he goes, "No, he's from our area." And they got the same China jerseys that you bought last year, because, you know, remember last year you were handing out jerseys to kids. And he was telling me about that whole experience. It takes forever to get them. And the Jack Trice logo came upside down and all this kind of stuff.
It's definitely you're running the risk if you're doing that.
Yeah.
You're paying a price in a different way if you go that route, obviously, but it takes a while to get here. Obviously, NIL has probably changed. It's probably way more. That was before NIL was even a thing when I bought mine.
Well, that new NIL shop that came out is going to do jerseys.
Yeah.
So they have black jerseys on their deal. So
really, that's cool.
Yeah. So Cade Matson is our guy that we interviewed a couple weeks ago is going to be on that shop. So we're going to be able to order a Cade Matson jersey if we want to.
All right.
Now, God knows when it's going to come. I mean, if they're getting it from China, it's going to be a while. So
I mean, I'll get one after he gets a tackle or something.
Right. Well, that's going to be probably a couple of years, maybe.
But speaking of Caden and the safeties, Jeremiah Cooper played just as
real deal.
He's a real deal. Played out of his just the speed is just even what Ryan Harkle was just talking about, the team speed is just so blatantly obvious. Even the Colorado transfer came out, and number 14 just came out and looked fast.
Staley, is that his last name?
Yeah, and it's just different. And just looking in the game ahead this weekend, it's just I just hope we utilize our speed, and which we haven't done against Iowa in a long time. So hopefully we just, with Decker's style play, hopefully that changes the script of the same script we've seen every time we played Iowa for the last 7 or 9 years. They've beaten us in a row, whatever it is, for crying out loud. But
well, I mean, if we receive on Saturday and they kick it out of the end zone, that might be the best field position we get on a change of possession. Because if their punter's involved, we're inside the 10. Unless Jalen catches it with 20 people around him and tries to get upfield, but their punter is legit. He is so accurate. So we know it's going to happen. We're going to get the ball inside the 10, inside the 5, or whatever. We can't do what South Dakota State did and run a zone read with everybody in the backfield has their feet in the end zone.
Yeah.
And they've got and Iowa's got Jack Campbell and all of those guys that are good in the linebacking crew, and that was dumb. I mean, that was at first down, too. Why not just run a sneak or something to give yourself a little room? Because he was standing, 2 yards into the end zone, trying to run a zone read against Iowa in their end zone. I mean, it was loud. I mean,
I remember
it was so dumb.
Against Tulsa, it was Steel. We did. Corey Messingham was our offensive coordinator. Obviously, we had a revolving door of offensive coordinators for a while, and it was the first game against Tulsa, and Steel Giants did a zone read. We were in the end zone, like just like South Dakota State was, and we did a zone read with Jeff Woody in the end zone. I'm like,
No
oh,
offense to Jeff Woody.
no
but
Jets offense to Jeff Woody, but I'm not sure if that's the best.
he might
option.
agree, he might agree with that one.
But I'm just saying, like, I was like, oh man, even as like a high schooler, I'm like, this could be a long year.
Yeah.
Because just but we went up and ended up playing Tulsa again in this bowl game that year, and
That's right. You know, I remember that game because I was sitting behind one of the players from Tulsa whose dad was a U.S. Senator that used to be the quarterback at Oklahoma. I cannot remember his name right. He used to wear a bandana, but he was sitting like 3 rows ahead of me. That was kind of the new guy that was going to be the famous politician back in the day, and then he ended up deciding to get out of politics, which I don't blame him a bit. But yeah, that seems like a million years ago to me.
yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be loud Saturday. You know, the thing that I like is that, first of all, Hunter is a Iowa kid,
Yep.
so he's been around this whole thing a while. He played at Oklahoma last year, so the noise should not be a problem. It's whether he can keep his cool because he is hyper competitive and make sure that he, kind of keeps everything on a Brock Purdy level. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just kind of keep himself level headed whether things go south or whether things go north. I mean, but I think I could see it going one of two ways. Hunter comes out and just absolutely torches them. Xavier torches them. Or we're in a gunfight and it's like a 17-10 game where it's a snoozer and it's not one you want to watch. But
Yeah, but that what makes me think about the Hunter going into the stadium full of people, but he's the guy. But the difference between that and what Purdy had to do his first time going against like a big road atmosphere was Texas, when we were like,
yeah,
but we're still in the race to go to Dallas. Dave Montgomery just got suspended for punching
against the Baylor dude.
So
yeah.
you're an 18-year-old kid. There's 100,000 people there. I just remember seeing him like, man, I just wish I didn't wish I was him, because like this is a lot of pressure for, because like your star running back's out for your first half, and then you're coming out, and then yeah, obviously we didn't win that game, but just makes me think of how different that is versus what Hunter,
Yeah.
how much experience he had holding a clipboard, watching Brock Purdy, and just what Brock Purdy was in past. Now it's just totally different of what our program is now versus
Right.
when it is back then, which I think is what might be shocking to us against Iowa, because I think we can compete just toe to toe with them, and I think it'll be a similar game like the 2017 Jacob Park year where it was overtime and Akram Wadley obviously went down and scored,
Yeah, that
and we
was
lost. But I think it'd be similar to that, but I think it might. I'm not going to predict us win, because obviously we've been doing that for the last 7 years or 9 years. But it's obviously feeling like, oh, you think you're going to win because we played bad last week, but we're going to do the same exact script and beat you the same way. I just don't want that.
Yeah, we can't out Iowa.
No.
There's no way that can happen. But I've seen this movie before. I mean, the Shaggy game. Iowa came in, was all hyped. We had no chance. We'd lost our opening game, I believe, that year. And then we kicked 25 field goals to beat them, and our defense plays out of their mind. So we're obviously all the money is going in on Iowa State right now on DraftKings and every place. And that's the second plug that I'm giving to a company that is not giving us any money. But I think, I think it's going to go one of two ways. I mean, it's going to be a battle where we could figure out a way to try to lose it, like Iowa scores twice on defense or something crazy like that. Or I could see it going the other way too. I could see Hunter just catching fire and getting some momentum, and Petrus, plays at the 1.5 quarterback rating that he played last week, and Iowa starts booing him in the first half, and they put in a guy that can't even beat out Petrus at the quarterback position, and things go south again. And I guess I heard that Campbell is questionable for the game.
Matt Campbell,
Jack Campbell,
Oh,
not Matt. Matt's not playing, but
I
we could put Matt in a wheelchair. He's still going to be there. But
my heart dropped for a second.
but Jack supposedly, possibly is. I thought I heard that today.
I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway, so I could see it going one of two ways. I'm not going to tell you how I bet it on DraftKings today. I put the biggest bet down that I've ever did in my life today, but might be getting some.
Abby, if you're listening, second semester might not be covered.
Yeah, well, or no. I mean, I put the biggest money bet down, but it's also the biggest payout that I've ever put down. So
yeah, that's how you look at it.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I think it could go one of two ways, but it's an Iowa State game. All bets are off. Ferentz is not going to lose his head. Matt's not going to lose his head. We can't turn the ball over. They can't turn the ball over. We can't say that we're just going to run it down your throat. That's not going to work. We have to be Iowa State. They're going to be Iowa. They're going to try to score 10 points and win. We need to score 35. And then it's over. First one to 21. Everybody said, Brent Bloom said it too. First one to 21 wins. I think that's the truth. And I don't think Iowa can get to 21 unless Hunter throws 2 picks.
Yeah, this game is so hard to predict. It's always it's either exactly how we think it's gonna go, or it's just like something weird happens, like a rain delay or some.
Could happen.
Yeah,
what is the latest in the forecast?
Hopefully that doesn't happen because that obviously didn't work out for us because we had the momentum that game going into that.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Because we just had touchdown with or I can't remember who was it. Trake Milton. It was some pass. Trake Milton. It was just Deshaunte Jones to Trake Milton or vice versa. But yeah, that's what the play I'm thinking of. But I don't know. I know I'll be in Iowa City at Michael's house, and I just know either it'll be a sad drive back home or it'll be
we win by 1 point. It's a happy drive home.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's just the way it is.
We just need to get this monkey off our back and finally just get it over with. Like, just beat Iowa. Like, imagine, just think about how long ago we beat Baker Mayfield and Oklahoma.
Right.
How long ago that was?
A long time ago.
That was a long time ago. And how good that felt and, like, how, like, much it felt for the program. But, like, I feel like even if we do beat Iowa, it'll feel, like, good for a little bit, but it won't be, like, as what it used to be, like, oh, we have a way better chance to make a bowl game. That's what it means.
Right.
It's more like, oh, it's just like a boost to go in, have momentum versus Ohio, and then eventually, hopefully, just pick up steam and play against Baylor, who looks. I didn't get to look any highlights of Baylor at all, but they won the Big 12 with the third-string quarterback last year, so they probably are pretty good.
Yeah, that's a rough way to start the Big 12. I mean, looking ahead a couple games, but I just looked at the forecast. According to the Futurecast, it's supposed to start having showers at 5 o'clock. So that is second half. So
yeah,
we're going to be.
I think never wrong.
I think we'll be good. Yeah, no, but it's we're a couple days out too.
So yeah, that thing.
But it's supposed to rain. I mean, starting at 5 o'clock showers, and then by 7 o'clock it's supposed to be straight up rain. Only a 65% chance. So it could not be raining that hard, or it could be cats and dogs. So
yeah.
So let's do this. We need to have a couple touchdown lead heading into the fourth quarter, and then let the Mother Nature thing take its course.
I'm old enough to remember where we went like 5 to 7 years without even scoring a touchdown against Iowa.
Oh, I'm old enough to remember when you were 2, when we were sitting in Albuquerque and we beat Iowa to break the streak with McCarney. Yeah. And a buddy of mine that was a doctor down there, was an Iowa fan, you thought that all of a sudden we just landed on the moon. All of a sudden Iowa State beat Iowa in football. It was just absolutely insane. And I couldn't believe it either. I mean, it was so much fun to watch. And yeah, so it's been so streaky if you look over the last 20 years. I mean, we had a big streak. Iowa's on a big streak now. But man, I tell you what, if you're an Iowa fan, and you watch that offense?
Yeah, after like the Big Ten championship and like we need to get rid of Brian Ferentz. Like it's either, and then always the rumors like if they ask Brian to get fired, then Kirk will be like, I'm done too.
Right.
And it was like,
but you could tomorrow if you want.
I know, but I'm just like, obviously it's just like, okay, well we're just gonna go out just doing the same thing. But obviously it's success. They went to the Big Ten championship last year and they pumped people. The
Big
NFL.
Ten. Okay, so let's just be real for a second. The Big Ten West, really?
But Wisconsin's in there too. Wisconsin's always good, but they would have got a down year last year. But I don't know. It's just
so you got to figure. So Iowa might have to figure out a way to fire the son of one of the best head coaches in Iowa history.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Nebraska's got to figure out a way to hire or fire Scott Frost, who is a legend,
like the Brock Purdy of Nebraska, kind of.
well, bigger than that. I mean, they were in the national championship. They were a lot better than us back in the day. But man, Nebraska's a hot mess. Iowa's offense today, I could see Peters coming out and just turning into Brett Favre too. I don't think it's going to happen, but like I said, I've seen this movie before. So
I'll have like 7 for 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, well, I would take that bet. I don't think that's happening.
But yeah, I'm as the weeks go on, I had zero confidence this week. Like from yesterday,
you're an Iowa State fan.
I had zero. I'm not even allowing any drop of confidence at all. And Michael has been getting confidence a little bit. Go at work. I feel like at work he's just been thinking about, I think, because I feel like he's around to Iowa fans, and I feel like Iowa fans didn't exactly have a thrilling last weekend, and they just are so sick of the offense, like we were talking about. It's just, I couldn't imagine, obviously winning that way for 20 years is great. You obviously can't complain that much because obviously if Kirk leaves and they just go tank to what they were before even Hayden Fry was there, which wasn't very good. Which I'm saying is you risk that, or you just okay, we'll just take 8 wins and then 10 wins at our peak, but we'll just have a snoring. We'll just let season tickets go down because our offense is terrible, but we still win. So
yeah, I mean, well, you think about, the guys that they lost. I mean, the guys that went to Purdue that just went off against whoever Purdue played. I mean, that's almost like an indictment on Brian Ferentz. I mean, they could still have Charlie Jones as a wideout if they threw him the stinking ball, but they just don't ever throw it. I mean, they're still playing this, 10 yards in a cloud of dust thing, and it's worked. I mean, they've obviously won more games than we have. They're still beating us, but, if you're a really good wide receiver, why go there? If you're a quarterback that can really sling it, why go there?
I think that's exactly why they're in the position they're in right now.
Yeah.
Just because they have evidence of they had evidence of seeing Kittle and TJ Hawkinson, who obviously are in the NFL, but they really weren't utilized the way they should have been. The way football is played nowadays, I feel like, imagine if TJ Hawkinson or Noah Fant were on one of the Oklahoma teams or on a Georgia team, or what I'm saying?
Well, when was the last dynamic quarterback that Iowa's had since Brad Banks?
Probably who's the guy that Drew Tate?
Drew Tate. You can't put him in the same category as Brad Banks. Brad Banks was really good. I mean, we lit him up, but he was, besides that game, he was really good.
Was he in the Heisman?
Yes.
Yeah, he was in the Heisman watching.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, you go down the list of their quarterbacks they've had since then, they are Tom Brady, that version of him that isn't as good as Tom Brady. Doesn't like to move. Supposed to be an accurate passer. You make him move left or right 5 steps and he's going to get tackled. I mean, that's my memory of the quarterbacks they've had.
I think about Iowa is Iowa fans are learning that Nate Stanley wasn't that bad. I think Nate Stanley was actually really good.
Exactly.
Was actually really good.
And,
Petrus, I think he obviously has the...
Sorry, hit the wrong thing.
He has the arm talent and obviously broke all the records in Iowa history, football, the high school Iowa football history. That's what I always heard. The Iowa fans growing up in high school, talking about it, but has not even close to lived up to anything. He had a couple good throws last year against us. I'll give him that, but I feel like it's very nice to be at Iowa. It's hey, you can play really, really bad, but
your defense is going to keep you in the game.
The punter will give you
the punter.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The punter will just make it impossible for the other team to score, and it just gives you the cushion of a lifetime. And he didn't even have that great a game against us last year, and it looked like they mopped the floor against us.
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time in the car the last 2 days, and was out at Sergeant Bluff Luton today, and they're playing Harlan on Friday, and so I was thinking about football all day today, and what is one way you can combat that punter?
I don't know.
Block one kick.
Yeah.
If we can figure out a way to block a kick and get it in his head a little bit, or even have when we're close and we accidentally get a roughing the passer, or where we're close to the point where we're going to block it and get in his head a little bit. If he stands back there again, Tom Brady, and can just pick us apart, that's a problem. But if we
Yeah.
can send one of our speed guys to get a little
Yeah.
heat on him,
Yeah,
that might change things. You never know.
yeah. I feel like we block one kick or punt. We feel like, oh,
Oh my
we
gosh.
could block. But that was the first kick I've seen Iowa State block in
Yes.
decades.
So I mean, think about, we haven't had a turnover down with them for 7 years.
Really? Yeah, that's
I mean,
ridiculous.
it's absolutely insane. I mean, so we have to get a turnover. I mean, I don't see how we win the game, even if we're -1 on turnovers. I mean, we got to get something from them, and if Petrus is going to throw and our D backs are as good as we think they are, we got to get something out of this. I mean, and Will McDonald, he was the definition of playing, a vanilla game on Friday. Or Saturday. He didn't do much. He didn't play that much. I think they're going to say, Will, do what you got to do, but you need to get in the backfield. I mean,
Yeah.
Isaiah Lee, the orange kid is really good. The kid that got the interception, number 11, the name escapes me, is really athletic. So, and watching the highlights of the South Dakota State game, I don't think Iowa's offensive line is a typical Iowa offensive line. So we'll see. I mean, it comes down to turnovers, special teams. We can't kick the ball out of bounds on a kickoff to open the game, or
I don't think. Yeah,
I mean,
I think
or pull it to Scott Frost and onside kick the first game, the first kick, or something stupid like that. I mean,
yeah. So I think, yeah, I'm not predicting Iowa State victory. I think we'll probably lose in heartbreaking fashion like usual. And
oh God, please don't.
I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like setting yourself up for a nut kick, because I feel like we've snuck hope in. The longer the week's gone, Iowa State fans have snuck in hope when we should have. After like last year, I'm never getting excited for this game ever again. This is this is stupid, because it was just we knew the game was over in like the second quarter.
But you take then who scooped up the fumble last year and
I think it was
scored?
Campbell, yeah.
Yeah. So you take that out of that one play out of the game. It's a completely different game at the end of the game, even.
Yeah, it was just, but
that's what we're talking about. It's one play. I mean, Hunter throws a pick six, changes the game. We block a punt, changes the game. If Petrus, fumbles the ball because Will McDonald is taking his shirt off in the backfield, that changes the game. So, it's all bets are off. I saw Iowa Bound on their Instagram this week posted all of the Iowa kids that are on both rosters. It is pretty amazing.
Yeah,
there's a ton of Iowa kids. And speaking of Harlan, Will McLaughlin played against SEMO and played pretty well. I mean, he tackled your brother in the dome last year, and he's 18 years old and is playing linebacker in the Big 12. I mean, so we've got a lot of reason to be hopeful. But like I said, for the third time, I've seen this movie before. You never know. The weather, nerves, any of that kind of stuff could throw things.
And the Contavious Norton came out and just
looked fantastic.
Looked like, the first thing I thought was like, that's the next NFL running back.
Yeah, that's right. That's what Ryan said.
It's the first thing I thought. I was like, he is. No one's new like that. Like, it's just like, it's just different. Like, it's a mixture. He said mixture of David and Brees. It's literally it. Like breaking tackles, and he has a burst that Brees kind of has, and it just kind of sucks how he tweaked his hamstring.
Yeah,
and
that's too bad. I mean, that could nag him for a while, but
hopefully he recovers. Hopefully he recovers really fast, because I'm really excited to see what he can do.
Yeah,
because he looks really exciting to see, and he's playing as a freshman this early. Brees did not even play this early.
No.
Yeah, so it's just So what's your score prediction of the game?
Oh my gosh,
we've never been even close to being right, so might as well do it.
I think it's going to be like you said. It's going to be a 13-10. Or there's a part of my brain that said it's going to be 37-10.
37.
That we're going to blow them out. There's part of me that thinks that.
Oh my god!
But also, the reality side of it thinks it's going to come down to the last 4 minutes of the game. And if it's pouring rain, then there's no way to predict it. So,
yeah.
I mean, we're still, even heading into Friday morning, we're still, a dog by 3 points on DraftKings, which, if, they don't have much for wide receivers, if Campbell is dinged up, and I don't know. I mean, Vegas is hard to go against. They don't usually miss it by that much, but, they've also never seen Hunter in a situation like this before. They've never seen Jarrell in a situation like this before. That cut that he made that went viral this week is fantastic. I mean,
As weird as it is, I think obviously this is all on Hunter's shoulders. Hunter has to be an absolute stud on Saturday.
And so does Tyler Miller and all the other offensive linemen.
A very low key important player is the return man for punting. If he has to punt, he has to catch it. If he doesn't catch it and let it roll, it's always gonna roll exactly how the punter wants it.
So if you're the coach, are you telling Jalen Knoll anything from the 5 and out you catch?
I don't know. I'm not a football junkie, obviously.
You mean because most of the time it's inside the 10, they just run away.
I feel like obviously Jack Trice versus the road game, obviously is right in front of the student section. Like obviously Jay Knowles like a true sophomore. It's just we'll just have to score more. How about that?
I think the wind is going to be an issue. I mean, because if it's windy, anytime it's going to rain, there's typically wind of one type or another. So if there's a strong wind from the north or the south, that's going to be a factor in punting and kicking for that matter. So I don't know. I mean, there's so many factors. I mean, this is what I hope. I actually texted Dallas Clark today or this week, tried to get him on because I wanted him to come on the podcast, proving that people that agree on 9% of things can also get along when they don't disagree on that 10%. Because I know what the atmosphere is going to be like. I mean, it's going to be a bunch of drunk guys that are not being very nice. A few people that aren't being very nice to people. My daughter's going, your brother's going, you'll probably be hanging around there. I know a lot of people that are going to be there. I just hope it can be civil and, not have an instance where somebody says, I'm never going to this game again. Because to be honest with you, I won't go to Iowa City to watch the Iowa State game again. I'm not sure I'll go to Ames because of some of the stuff that goes on. It's just one of those things that everybody just needs to, get along and not have this turn into something that's ugly. Because I've told this story before, but there's a lady that was kind of like my second mom growing up that had season tickets in Clyde Williams Field and was there when Jack Trice opened and Hilton opened, and she died when she was like 90, and when she was in her 70s, she was sitting in a lawn chair outside of Jack Trice before the game at her son's tailgate, and somebody threw a full beer can at her and hit her. I don't know if they're throwing it at her, they're throwing it maybe somebody else and hit her. She never went back again. She never went to the Iowa State game again. I've talked to multiple people that have not gone to the game again because of something like that. So I just hope it's a fun atmosphere. Iowa City is kind of a unique place to watch a game. It's obviously a great facility. It's got probably the best tradition in
the pink bathrooms.
Not the pink. No, not the Hayden Fry thing. But the Wave is awesome. We had a nephew. I had a nephew that was in that wing of the hospital at one time. So
it was being built. Actually.
It's a pretty cool thing. And so it was funny that there was somebody made a joke about the kids that were watching the game shut the curtains in the second half because they didn't want to watch it anymore. I mean, so that was pretty brutal.
Put them right to sleep.
Yeah,
nap time in the afternoon.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of positives coming out of this game. It's great for our state. Barstool is going to be there. Doing their thing. We're going to have a lot of press there. So I'm hoping it's just a fun day. So, I mean, I'm not going. I'm going to sit and watch it with my wife.
That being said, I'm not going.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I mean, seriously. I mean, I would rather be able to sit and watch the game. But also, we have a road game with your brother.
Yeah.
We're going to get home late on Friday. This is my last go-around with following a kid around playing high school football. We're ranked second right now. It's a huge game, so I'm not going to be worried about trying to get in a car and go to Iowa City. So, I mean, but I hope everybody goes and has fun. I mean, I remember the last time I went, it was when Sage was playing, and your mom and I parked at Iowa City West, which, if you know Iowa City at all, is a long ways away from Kinnick. And we were huffing it in, and we're getting close to the stadium, and we hear this big roar, and we said, oh, my gosh, somebody scored on us already. And we walk in, it's when J.J. Moses returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown. And then we ended up winning in Iowa City, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, there were a lot of people calling us the ketchup and mustard uniforms and all that, but it was a lot of fun, and I'm hoping everybody has a good time and stays safe and doesn't do anything stupid.
Yeah, I think it'll be I don't know. I'm sick of. I hate. It's so hard to predict. It's always the same thing every year. I just hope it goes our way for once.
So what do you think is going to be the score?
It's just either one side of the brain. It's either Deckers is gonna just be light them up and just Jalen Knowles gonna be running the end zone, or it's like Iowa's gonna win 9-3.
Yeah.
You know, it's just there's no
With two safeties.
and like the punter just kills us.
Yes.
And we just make special teams mistakes, and it's just like the same old podcast from last year. Just replay it.
So what has been fun this week is watching some of the stuff on Twitter. Have you seen some of the memes where our two guys collide on the punt, and then all of a sudden these coins fly out like it's a video game? That was pretty funny.
yeah.
And then the one where Matt Campbell they take a elderly person and he's helping somebody, walk into a stadium, and they put Matt Campbell's face on the younger person, and then Kirk Ferentz is. And then they have another one where it's a guy holding a baby, and they got Kirk Ferentz holding Matt Campbell. I mean, all of that stuff I think has been pretty funny this week. But
Yep. But just try to be somewhat nice to each other, but you can be a little meaner this week. But it's just fun banter. But the people who take it really seriously, it's just like. I'm not gonna go out there and be sweating and being tackling each other. I'm just wearing a t-shirt or have a podcast at Iowa State, like the normal fans that are just like way over the line, like Iowa State. I think Campbell's scared of Kirk Ferentz. I think he's okay.
Played Clemson, played Notre Dame, played Oklahoma multiple times,
beat Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, so I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, like I said, it's a fun week every year, but we just need people to be sane.
Yep.
That would be that's the theme of the week. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm drinking Liquid Death. I found this 3 years ago at least. This is water. I've given it to multiple people, saying they think it's some like alcoholic drink, and it's basically a bottled water, but it's in a can to try to combat all of the plastic that's out there. So this is another shameless plug for a company that we're not getting any money from. But so if you're watching on YouTube, I'm not drinking like straight Everclear or anything like that. This is water. Some of you people even know where it came from.
The 60th of this podcast was you just plugging other people's stuff.
Well, you know what? We're gonna keep doing plugs until somebody says, you know what, those guys are all right. We're gonna wear their shirt, or we're going. I mean, I gave Joe List, one of our favorite comedians. I saw him live, gave him some shirts. He's wearing Iowa stuff on all of his podcasts now.
I think that's kind
of
of
funny. I've DM'd him saying, get rid of that hat that's dipped in bile that you're wearing.
That's funny, yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with this game. Obviously, growing up around here, there's a lot more Iowa fans than it was back then, because Iowa was way more. It was way more of an Iowa State where like everyone was an Iowa fan.
Yeah.
And Iowa State's Paul Rhodes, even I have to say Paul Rhodes is the one that carved the map, and Jamie to spread the fan base more. But it's just fun to see it 50-50 down the line. Each kid's Iowa State, Iowa, and just it's a way more fun rivalry. But it'll be way more fun if we could just win.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a rivalry if the same team wins every year. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, so
like Iowa winning in basketball, like we won like 7 out of 10, and like Iowa won Iowa had Garza, and like it makes it more of a rivalry. If it goes back and forth
until they make a Sweet 16 before the next millennium.
They haven't had
next queen.
Yeah, they haven't had a Sweet 16 in HD, or let alone a flat screen TV, or let alone. Yeah,
we got a lot of basketball stuff to talk about someday.
So,
by the way, did you see the highlights of Lipsy today that was on social media?
No, I did not.
Reminds me a little bit of Monte. Hate to say
Monte,
it. He even
really?
looks a little bit like Monte, plays a little bit like him.
Just like the second best point guard to ever play.
Yeah, but he is, if you look at Monte Morris as a freshman versus Taman.
Why do we always do this? Obviously I just did it on this own podcast. I'm like, Latavius Norton, he's like the next Brees and David Montgomery. He's like,
he's the next
Monte Morris. He's the next Walton.
No, I didn't say. I just said it reminds me of him. I never said he was going to be the next one. He hasn't played a second. But
he's not the next Jeff Hornacek. He's a mixture of Jeff Hornacek. He shoots like Willoughby. He blocks like Cato, and he passes like Royce.
And he runs the ball like David Montgomery.
Yeah.
So
right.
I hope it's fun. I mean, so. It'll be fun one way or the other, as long as it's not 50-0 because you don't even remember the days that it was
bad.
just brutal. I mean, we're getting beat by 70 or whatever. I mean, that was he shut it off at the end of the second quarter. I mean, that's those days are long gone. So
All right. Well, we'll hopefully have a fun podcast next time. But
go to Sound Sirens if you want a shirt. We still have shirts. We still have hats. Still have koozies. Still have hoodies. We still have anything you can think of. Give them to your relatives, Christmas presents, birthday presents, whatever.
second cousins, third cousins.
Somebody from Minnesota, or Robin Sawyer, I believe is her name. Shout out to her. She's one of our best customers. She bought one of the crew necks. We did a giveaway on social media. Got one of those.
We'll just start making. If you buy something, we'll give you a shout out.
That's right. That's a great idea. The first person to buy something to Sound the Sirens, we are definitely giving a shout out. We won't do anything stupid for you, but got a lot of shirts, got a lot of hats. Got a few flags. I put the flag up on I had to host my first tailgate. Didn't talk about that.
Yep.
I hosted my first tailgate in 20 years at Hilton, and figured out my generator's way too loud.
Yep, had the loudest generator in the whole damn
Oh my
state.
gosh. So that was like a Model A. I mean, it was so bad. So I ran it long enough to heat up the chicken dip, and then had to shut it off. But
when you say it was the loudest one, you could not hear anyone else. It was just ours.
yeah. So then our friend from Tractor Lift Brewery said, I didn't hear it that much. And I said, well, it's because it's the only one around here.
Yep.
I mean, but that was the shocking part about tailgating is that we're in the the barely can afford a parking pass crowd on the northeast side of Hilton. And then on the north side of Hilton, there are places that are still free. So if you wanted to get a parking pass, you still could in Hilton in that area. Oh. So it was interesting because even when the game was starting, there's a lot of empty spots. But you know what? I hate to sound gross, but there is nothing worse than a Kaibo right before the game starts.
I'd argue that. Try going to the Dayton Rodeo. At the end of the weekend.
Yeah, you did go to the Dayton Rodeo. Dayton Rodeo is awesome. I had a good time when I was a kid, but I know you guys were not thrilled by it.
No, I'm saying
the Kaibos are probably
just go to the Dayton Rodeo and then come back to me. I feel like that was worse.
Well, there's a lot of people that live in Dayton that listen to this, so.
No, I'm just saying, just like we're talking the toilet talk here.
You do know what smurfing is? You ever heard of that before?
No.
So a friend of mine shot out the mud ball.
Oh, is it where like you lock it and you push? Like
no, somebody will take a rock, and don't do this and blame it on me. But we'll take a rock the size of the vent. There's the pipe that sticks up in a Kaibo.
Yep.
That keeps the smell from overwhelming you when you go in there, and dropping it down the vent, and then all of the blue stuff splashes on you. Somebody told me that was called smurfing. I remember when we played Nebraska. We were. This was back when McCartney was coaching, and I was standing in line for a Kaibo at the tailgate, and a Nebraska fan walks into the Kaibo, and I go, "All right, guys, let's tip that over." That was a Nebraska fan. 1, 2, 3, and I was kidding, obviously, and just pretending that we were going to do it. Didn't touch it or anything, and he came out, and I thought he was going to punch me. He thought he was so mad, but everybody was laughing around it. That Kaibos are the worst.
I love how earlier be nicer to the fans going in.
But not Nebraska fans. I never said be nice to Nebraska fans.
Don't be the jerk. Don't be that.
I didn't do anything. I just said something. I didn't throw anything at him.
One of your 3 stories on this podcast.
Here's carry my generator around, or
you talking about how you bullying a fan. That's
it's because I didn't have a daughter back then. My daughter, I want to enjoy the time. If you get heckled, I really don't care. But
okay, well, appreciate it. Well, we hope we win. So we hope we win.
Is that going to be the title of the podcast? We hope we win.
We'll end that every podcast from now on. We hope we win, guys. We'll see you later. If we lose, we might not see you later.
Oh, we will. Yeah. We got to keep doing this, don't we?
Yep. It's just hopefully the Ohio preview is really exciting.
Is Frank Solich still coach there?
I have no idea.
You know who that is?
No.
He's the guy that Nebraska fired to hire Bo Pelini.
Oh.
He used to be the head coach at Ohio. Yeah, so, all right, go Clones. Beat the Hawks.
Go Clones.